Hello and welcome to the Winging It Travel Podcast YouTube channel. Join me on my journey as I travel across the world, seeking out adventures, meeting new people and trying out new things. Hello and welcome to this first episode of our Canada and USA road trip. And a lot of these for the next few months are going to be on Canada, and this was always the plan, to come back to Canada in the summer and start driving across it probably from June or July. And as we speak, we've been on the road for 3 days, so the start of July, and we're giving ourselves 8 to 10 weeks. So a lot ahead, not too much plan, a rough guide, but not too rigid. So today, I'm going to cover the first 3 days of our trip, and we are going to cover Vancouver Island and the area of Tofino and Ucluelet. So we have gone west first. Before we get started, what are we travelling in? There is a solo episode on this. I have a campervan episode. You can search on my catalogue for that. Bit of prep. So this is the campervan in its pre-ready phase. We're just cleaning out some months worth, I'd say, maybe even years worth of stuff on the floor with these carpet here, cleaner things. This is broken, so that's not a great start. But yeah, just clean it out and I think we're good to go. We've got to fit pretty much everything in. Excited. It's going to be an adventure. So, day one. We left Vancouver, went to Horseshoe Bay. This is where you get your ferry across to the islands, in the Gulf Islands, and also to the island itself, Vancouver Island. And we arrived in Nanaimo after 1.5 hour ferry. Now, in Canada, there's a rule. You normally have to book, unbelievably, 2 to 3 months in advance in the summer months, because everyone knows when they go on holiday and book all the ferries and the campsites in good time. It's a risk to arrive on the day of a campsite or a ferry, but it is doable, and we proved it can be done. We arrived for the 8:45 a.m. ferry crossing at 7:30 to start the queuing process, because what happens is, if you reserve a seat, fantastic, you have your ticket, go straight through and queue up, ready to get on the ferry. If you don't, you need to sit in an unreserved queue, and what happens there is that you go through and they say, yep, we have space, here's your ticket, go and wait in this queue to get onto the ferry. Or if you don't, go and stay over there and we'll come back to you when there's space on the ferry. These ferries don't actually book till they're full. And if you go on the website, bcferries.com, you can see the percentage that is available to come on the day and for each individual sailings. Now, from North Vancouver, Horseshoe Bay to the island, as an example, they always have 25-26% availability, even 40% on the day, and they have about 8 to 10 sailings a day. So it is doable. You just need to get there very early for the sailing that you want to go on. So 8:45 a.m, we're like, right, we'll be there for 7:30 a.m, and we're straight through, pay for a ticket, no dramas. It's the same price as if you book online. So real easy process if you get lucky. But it is known that you can be there for hours and hours because people have the same idea. So if there's no space on your 8:45 ferry, you have to wait there to the next one, which I think is 10:30. It could be 11 a.m. And the plan was to drive across the island to Tofino. They closed the road a few weeks ago, or a few months back, because of a fire. There's quite a few wildfires going on in BC and across Canada at the moment. Next is the next bit of luck. Now, campsites, you do have to book in advance because people just book them out anyway. And arriving on the day, you may get lucky if you replace someone who's left early, who's cancelled, or just not even turned up. And there's only one government-provided campsite in the Tofino area. It's called Green Point. And the reason it's popular is because it's cheap. It's $34 a night for your car and 2 people. Any private site in the whole area of Tofino or Ucluelet is hanging around at the minimum $60. And I'll come to that in a bit. So Green Point is very popular. If you know your date you're going to travel in BC or the island, get it booked ASAP. So $34 a night is the go. We turned up probably around 2:30 to 3 p.m. on our first day, and we're just fully expecting it to be a no. Turned up to the campsite and they have a barrier which you have to go through and speak to a person. We asked and they said, oh yeah, we have one for one night, and we couldn't believe it. So we snapped that up straight away, got in for one night. And this campsite is unbelievable. It's right next to Long Beach, a fantastic beach where there's acres of space. unbelievable. Has great surf if you're into surfing, and the views are incredible, like misty views that you see on Google when you put in Tofino or Long Beach. One night, fantastic. Very lucky to stay. So we settled in and went to Tofino Village and had a coffee at the Harbour View Coffee House, which has got a great view over the harbour. Also Tofino, a fantastic little village on the water. We saw a few seaplanes take off, trees everywhere, load of water, very clean air, just an amazing hippie vibe there too. It's quite chilled, as you can imagine. And we had drinks and Wi-Fi at Tofino Brewing. Had drinks there, done some podcast stuff. Then we got back to the campsite. This campsite is amazing. Like, our little area is secluded because each little patch of grass or land that they give you is your own. You're not sharing it with anyone. And it's got charging points too. And the campsite has showers, toilets obviously, garbage bins. It's just a real idyllic place. You can walk around the loop of the road and in between huge trees. Family friendly too if you're a family. This campsite is just ideal for anyone who just wants to chill out quietly. There's quiet time after 10 p.m. and it's maintained at the highest order. So it's a very comfortable start. I'm not expecting it all the way through, but I loved it that much that we're hoping we could stay the next day. I'll come to that in a second. First campsite dinner, mushroom sauce with tomatoes and pasta. Fantastic. And to finish off, we saw a nice Bernese dog. We love Bernese dogs. There was one in a bit of quite a high camper van. You're going to need space for a Bernese dog. And we tested out some equipment that we have. So we have this brand new mosquito net. It takes a minute to get set up. We can put it over the bench. So that's great. Not too many mosquitoes though, I must admit. Like maybe one or two, but nothing to really write home about. And that was the first day camping. A great sleep. Day 2. So we've got to check out at 11. And we're going to try the same technique again. They said to us, come back at 8:30 when they open at the office. And then we'll see what the go is. You can actually check online. You can refresh as soon as someone cancels online, but not everyone cancels. So you've got to either ring those guys up or keep going back and asking them in person. So it's a bit of an ordeal if you don't book a campsite. Anyway, 8:30, no luck, nothing at all. We're like, okay, what we'll do is we'll have breakfast, we'll chill out for a bit, have a shower, and then we'll go at 11 as we're driving out to ask and see if there's anything going on. So I had beans on toast, which I was very much looking forward to. And I just enjoyed waking up into the forest. You've got to bear in mind, our little patch of land is covered around by trees. There was a warning of a bear in the area. Didn't see any bears. But just a real nice and quite cool. It wasn't too hot because you're shaded from the sun. And the perfect temperature really. Even a bit too cold at night. We had to get covered up. So the campground sort of worker guy came round to see if we're checking out. And we were. Asked that guy then. He said, no, we're fully booked. So okay, no worries. Drove out. And the woman there was on the phone, and I said, just one last chance. Any chance that there's any cancellations last minute? She went, hang on, wait there may be a cancellation. And I think she was just on the phone to the woman who was cancelling. Finished her phone call, came back, said, yep, one campsite available, drive around. Couldn't believe it. Last knockings, got a campsite, straight in to check in, because you don't need to really wait. There's an official check-in at 2 or 3 p.m, but as we were there the night before, drove around the corner, campsite number 2, straight in. Couldn't believe it. And we drove off to Tofino and had a coffee at the Tofino Roastery. I met a girl there called Aub, A-U-B, and she's from Montreal and Quebec. Had a chat about Canada and getting jobs and stuff like that. Had a great coffee, caught up on the podcast, got some signal. Then we had lunch at Big Daddy's Fish Fry in town. Chips $8 each, unbelievable. Had some gravy with them. Back at Harbour View Coffee House, got some more podcast editing done. We did scrape the bottom of the car when we were parking it up. Wasn't a great moment that. Then we drove back to camp, had a fantastic dinner there, same again. And then had the most amazing sunset on Long Beach with a cup of tea and some biscuits. The colours were sensational because it's such a long beach and you can see forever. The sun going down was pretty spectacular and I got some great pictures and videos of that too. So that was day 2. Day 3. No luck this time. We've done the same technique, asked early, checked out 11, no luck this time. So we moved to Ucluelet Campground, which is a private campsite, and that is $63 a night, including taxes and fees. So a bit more of a jump. First off, we went for a coffee at Barclay Cafe, and they have fantastic toasted bagels with cream cheese there, and a coffee too, which was absolutely sensational. Only downside is they have recyclable cups, so not proper cups, unfortunately. But then we walked down to the Ucluelet Lighthouse Loop, and that was a fantastic view of the end of the harbour there, if you like. Tried to look out for some whales and seals, didn't see much wildlife. Saw an awesome orca skeleton that they found and they brought to shore. That's quite interesting, and see how big that is. And that Ucluelet Lighthouse loop is about 2.5 to 3k in distance all the way around. And car parking is a bit of a premium, so you have to get there early, classic Canada, to try and find a space. We actually parked next to the road. Nice easy trail there, great views, great sunshine, quite a few people doing it, really, really nice. Then we checked into our campsite and then spent the afternoon at Wikaninish Beach, which had similar vibes to Long Beach. Fantastic beach, more of a surf beach, amazing views again, that hazy views. And we stayed there for an hour, hour and a half, had a nice little drink on the beach in our chairs, chilled out, fantastic. And to make it even better, we had broccoli for dinner. Not had that for months. To finish the day, and kind of the 3 days in that area, we went to Ucluelet Brewing Company with a beer and a view of the harbour and Lunch Island. And it's much more chilled in Ucluelet and Tofino. It's less busy, less people, and a bit more space going on. But those two areas, they're probably about 40 k's apart, with Long Beach in the middle. Tofino, Ucluelet and Long Beach are fantastic. You have to go and see that on Vancouver Island. The only mare is the road in the middle. It was closed and there was a 30-minute delay because they're doing some works on the road. You have to queue up there, but that's the only way to get there, unfortunately. Unless you fly from, I think you fly from downtown Vancouver. It's about $175 to $200 a flight. It takes 15-20 minutes. Great view of the island. Well worth doing once, definitely for sure. I also saw Tofino Air do scenic flights there for half an hour. They're about $195 to $200 each. It's 5 people, but 6th person goes free. So if you can get 6 people, divide it up, even a bit cheaper than that. And that's about half an hour. And on days like these, fantastic. The views have been incredible up there. And to summarise the 3 days that we had, unbelievable weather, warm. In the evening it got chilly, so almost a perfect time to go. Just super cool, chilled areas, not too many people about. It is a dreamy start to the road trip, and for anyone who wants to go to Vancouver Island and to the west. And the total kilometres travelled, probably around 340 kilometres, I reckon, in total for those 3 days. I just want to summarise for the admin. And what I mean by this, you might be asking a few questions, how we're doing things. So obviously we have our own campervan, that speaks for itself. You book ferries online. If you can't book online, it's sold out at bcferries.com. You turn up on the day to the harbour point, walk on as well if you've not got a vehicle. Campsites, turn up, book them online as well. If you chuck in BC campsites, you're going to go to their provincial campsite website, which is not the best, but it has every campsite that you can book for, and you can see how far in advance if there's any availability. Honestly, they open up 3 months in advance, and it is tough to get anything. My advice would be to organise in advance to guarantee yourself a campsite and a ferry at that as well. But if you can't do that, it is doable if you get up early, go on a day and get lucky. But the backup for campsites is there are private campsites. They are more expensive. They are between $60 and $150 a night, but they are normally available. In terms of food, these areas all have a co-op. It's quite big in this area, so individual shops, but they are a supermarket, so you get everything you need, just maybe a slightly higher cost. And on Vancouver Island, for example, there are major cities and towns like Nanaimo and Victoria. They also have proper big supermarkets like Safeway, Save On Foods and stuff like that, Walmart as well, where you can get everything. In terms of cooking, we have our own 2-stove cooker at the back. That's propane gas. So we need to obviously keep buying those gas canisters to keep that going for the whole trip. But in terms of the campsite, there was no kitchen on the campsite. You can't actually use anything like that there. So you will need to be self-contained at that. And some private campsites will have kitchen facilities, but I wouldn't expect that. And as I said, showers and toilets were all available to everywhere we've been so far. And coming on to Vancouver Island for the last 3 or 4 days, I expect that to be the same as well. The roads are pretty clear. Just get on there early and just be aware of Vancouver Island. There's going to be busy places like Nanaimo when the ferry comes in, busy traffic, and obviously Victoria, the capital down south. Just expect if you go out to buy coffees, they're going to be $3 or $4. Bagels, $3 or $4 as well. And if you're eating out like a proper meal, it's going to be $20, and beers are hanging around $10 a pint. So that's your external factors if you like. You want to go out and eat. But obviously we're camping, we're cooking, we're making our own stuff to make it as cheap as possible. And to finalise, there are free camps, and these are just sites where they've been cleared and they've got probably a drop down toilet, no shower, definitely not. And if you don't need anything else, you can go to those for free, but it is first come first served, and there may not be any guarantee of space. Also, you can't guarantee the clientele because you might get a group they're quite rowdy, whatever, party into the night. These private campsites, and also the ones that are hosted by the provincial government, are kind of looked after and maintained quite a high discipline of the rules. And that's quite a good thing, because you don't want people just annoying you at 2 a.m. in the morning. I'll share any details that I find on the road, anything that be of use to you, and keep tuning in for all the episodes coming up. I'll keep the solo ones coming. As long as I have signal, I can get these out pretty regularly. It's going to be 1 or 2 a week, as well as the guest episodes, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Great 3 days, recommend going there. I'll come back with the next 3 or 4 days on Vancouver Island, and then we'll be going east after that, after Vancouver, to regroup and sort the van out some more. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Please follow and subscribe on my YouTube channel today, and please rate and review the podcast on any podcast platform that you use. Thank you.